Lowe's knows that more projects mean more tools. For a limited time, new and existing MyLowe's Rewards credit card members can get 12-month special financing on purchases of $299 or more, in-store and online. Don't wait to get the things you need. Get special financing today. Lowe's. We help. You save. Now through August 27th, choose 12-month special financing on purchases of $299 or more. Offer subject to credit approval and cannot be combined. Minimum monthly payments required. See store or Lowe's.com for details.
If you're a podcast host, listen up, this one's for you. My name is Allie Jackson. I'm the host of Finding Mr. Height, a dating and relationship podcast that I've been doing for 4 years now, sharing my positive and practical approach to dating that's built on my own life experience. And I wanted to share another experience that I've had, my secret behind monetizing my show. It's called Red Circle, and I was just telling my colleague about how much I love their platform. With Red Circle, not only am I getting a seamless hosting experience, but I also love the support I receive in ad sales. It's not just typical ad sales either. It's targeted opportunities based on my show and my life. And the platform is super simple. You just set your preferences and Red Circle matches you with sponsors that align with your show. You can vet every opportunity and their platform gives you great analytics. More recently too, my Red Circle team has brought me opportunities outside of my podcast on social media to really augment the podcast partnerships, bring them full circle. I just can't recommend them enough. If you want to give it a try, go to redcircle.com to get your free trial. That's redcircle.com for a free trial.
The following podcast may contain discussions supported by science that may be considered dangerous to some listeners and conspiracy theorists. Discretion is advised.
The Three Down Greencast is brought to you by Lucky Bastard Distillers, Saskatchewan's premier distillery, and by the Pile of Bones Brewing Company, brewed in the heart of Regina. Welcome to the Three Down Greencast. You are listening to the internet's only Is the Fraser Curse Hereditive podcast? I am Joel Gasson with John Fraser, as usual. Plenty to get to as the Saskatchewan Roughriders laid a beatdown on the Montreal Alouettes last week to move to 7-1 heading into their bye week. So we will talk about that game.
Eventually, after many, many tangents, I'm sure, because let's face it, it's hard to talk about a game that they dominated that much.
Yeah, as we've talked about on this podcast before, losing is good for business. Winning thoroughly without much controversy or anything to really second guess all that much is really bad for business. So
terrible for business, terrible for you if you come here to listen to football. But hey, we got a bye week coming up next week. We can go big picture like we like to.
Yeah, we have some things we can talk about, and we will talk about that. We'll also talk a bit about the things Trevor Harris said last week and whether that may actually end up being very beneficial for the club. And we will, as John sort of alluded to, look at the schedule ahead because things are about to get a little bit tougher, and we will certainly learn a lot more about this football team over the next several weeks after their bye week. No question about that.
Yeah, we are heading into the interesting, like I know we all joke about it that the first few weeks before Labor Day feel like preseason, but like it almost really does this year with how much meat and potatoes they got to take on this next schedule. It's like they're about to run through that weird dangling fist thing that some NFL teams are using at training camps.
Mm-hmm. There were some run-ins this weekend as well.
Yes.
As wrestling fans, we all know that SummerSlam was over the weekend, the first time ever 2 nights. We're not going to get too much into the weeds as to what happened there because as much as I think John and I would love to do a wrestling podcast, this is not a wrestling podcast.
No. Even though we could almost bring Greg on and do it.
We probably could. We can get Plaster involved too. Like we could easily, basically everyone who is generally ever on this podcast actually could talk wrestling, which is kind of a weird coincidence if you really think about it.
It's a really weird Venn diagram. Yeah, that basically is Ariel into wrestling?
I don't think so, but I honestly don't know. I don't think so, but yeah. As a team employee, she wouldn't be on again, so it's okay.
No, but that's what I mean. That anybody out of the history of this pod that's been on, multiple times, definitely could also talk wrestling and also curling.
Dan's not into curling. I'll tell you that.
Boo. We'll get him there.
Yes, I guess the question is, does Colin Hodgson know wrestling? Because he's been on here almost as much as anyone else.
That's fair.
We know Colin isn't. We know Colin isn't, right?
No. He might
Anyway.
be. I feel like I should text him. And,
Yes.
and I need the answer for this. I did just pre-order his book the other night.
Oh, I have not done that yet, but I probably should, because I don't know what they mean by fall, but yeah. Yes, John Cullen has a book coming out about curling. It's like his podcast. I'm sure it's going to be incredible. So.
Oh, 100%. And like his appearances on this pod or the 8N Nation episode.
Anyway, what the main reason why we actually brought up wrestling was I've learned recently at least that previously, and I guess still probably up until December, your son Connor, his favorite wrestler is John Cena.
He is, yes.
And John Cena has decided to retire after kind of basically being part-time for the last number of years. Like, long story short, if you don't really know wrestling that well, John Cena was like the guy in the industry from early 2000s till probably a few years ago. But then as they all do, they kind of get older, you can't do it as much, and then you start doing movies more, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
And they become popular in the movies, which pay more and have less physical toll on your body.
Yeah. And anyway, you can only do wrestling for so long. As a fact, it's kind of like sports in that regard, though you can do it at a high level for longer, especially these days with how much fewer dates they work and all those sorts of things. But anyway, so he was rather sad about that John Cena was retiring. So you tell me the story of he had to then pick a new favorite wrestler.
He did. So whenever Cody Rhodes, who is Max's favorite wrestler, and John Cena wrestle, the boys haven't fully dove into wrestling yet, but it's like, hey guys, like Cody and John are wrestling, so we should, go watch. And they're like, okay. And they have fun. They wrestle the whole time they're watching it. Well, Cody Rhodes, after Connor puts all his support behind John Cena, Cody Rhodes wins the Sunday night main event at SummerSlam. So Connor is naturally dejected. Okay. So then I remind him that John Cena's retiring. So it's like, okay, we have to find you a new favorite wrestler. So I went to the main event on Saturday night at SummerSlam, which I had already watched. And it was against, your classic bad guy in Gunther. Like, he is like your paint by numbers wrestling bad guy. Like, and it was him and CM Punk, who I enjoy. Yep. Like, I'm
a CM Punk guy. I am an unapologetic CM Punk guy. When he first left the company, I guess like 11 years ago now, that was basically when I stopped watching for a very long time. So
that's kind of me too. The timing kind of lined up as well. So Punk wins over Gunther, and Connor's jumping up and down, and he's like, he's my new favorite. But out comes another wrestler to use what is called Money in the Bank. What Money in the Bank is, they can start a title match at any time without notice. So it's this big dramatic thing. He's supposed to be hurt. Boom, throws away the crutches. 1, 2, 3. Connor's heart is broken the second, like literally within an hour of each other. And the worst part was when he's like, I like CM Punk. And I'm like, yeah, be a Punk guy. Oh, this is going to go badly for you.
As much as I have my feelings about that cash-in, we do have to give some props to how deep Seth Rollins went into what's called that work.
Oh, yeah.
Which when they fake the injury or whatever, it's called a work. Anyway, a few weeks ago at what was called Saturday Night's Main Event, Seth Rollins was wrestling a guy called LA Knight, who was also great. And he appeared to injure his knee in the match, and it like ended really awkwardly and weird, so it felt really, really, really real that he hurt himself.
Interesting.
And like Seth Rollins has a history of knee injuries, so it's not completely out of the question.
So he's basically Zach Calaris, except he's not mid.
Yeah. And so like he jumped, he did like a somersault, I think. He landed on his knee and then leg, and he like kind of jumped around and all that. And then he's talking to the ref for a bit, and they call him over. And then he like the ref and him talk for a bit, because like if you don't know professional wrestling, like the ref is kind of the liaison to the back room, and they give them sort of heads up on what to do in certain situations sometimes. Yes. And so they communicate in the back and everything. And then basically, I guess the agreed upon finish at that point was because they said that Seth was originally scheduled to win that match, and then instead it decided in the moment that LA Knight was going to hit his finishing move on Seth Rollins and win the match. And it was very awkward and didn't feel natural at all, so that led me and many other people to believe this injury was real. Because there's always like the moment in wrestling when, because there's a lot of wrestling injuries, quote unquote, that aren't real, right? And so when like that happened, he went away for a while. And he went on like podcasts. He did all these things. He was telling the story on one of the podcasts the other day, I think now that it's happened, where he told a story about how he went out to dinner with a bunch of the wrestlers, and he had the crutches with him, and he was out at the gym, and he would bring his crutches with him. And there's even a video from Becky Lynch's wife of them on social media, and he's walking down the street with his daughter with the crutches and this giant knee brace on still. And then he
fully sells it.
He fully sells it. He explained to his daughter, this is the really funny part, he explained to his daughter that this was a pretend boo-boo for work, essentially. And but don't tell anyone about it. She told her preschool teacher the next day, apparently. So luckily, I guess she's not that into it, and word didn't really get out. I think there's only like a couple of rumblings, other than like fans really thinking that this was a work. And hey, to those fans who thought it was a work, congratulations, you were right. There's a lot of wrestling reporting that goes on. A lot of it's not real.
Yes.
And so you really got to be careful what you're looking at online in those regards. But there wasn't a lot about this being a work in progress. So I do have to give a tip of the cap to Seth Rollins for the dedication to the bit. No question.
I love that is the most quintessential preschooler story though ever.
Yeah.
That like, hey, you can't tell anybody this, and the very next day it's, yeah, hey, my daddy's not actually here. That's perfect. But
anyway, the main point of why we're talking about this, not to like praise wrestling in too much,
which we do enjoy doing,
was the fact that this leads me to believe that the Fraser curse is hereditary.
100%.
Because this seems like something that would happen to a young John Fraser.
It really is. Like, I mean, I really like Bret Hart back in the day, so this all makes sense. Now,
was that around the Montreal screw job?
Right, it would have been. Yes, absolutely. I would have been, what year was that? 96?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, like the mid-90s would have been my peak, like, first time watching wrestling era. So, yeah, okay. That makes sense. Then I got thinking back, and there's a divide in my house that I think I've mentioned on this very here podcast before, that Lacey and her family are Rider fans, and Maya has defected to the Rider fans side. Connor used to be a Rider fan as well until he flipped 3 years ago.
He turned heel.
He did. But that also means, the whole back-to-back Grey Cup losses. Since Connor turned to a Bombers fan, that might be more evidence. I think the curse is hereditary, or the curse is transferred onto Connor somehow.
Yeah, it seems hereditary, but not necessarily 100% that your children will get it. At least 1 in 3. I haven't heard much evidence from Max, but he's not really that into sports. And obviously, Maya's too young still, but
yeah. But Connor has been like, it's like the early scenes of like a fantasy film. It's like basically he's the Harry Potter of the Fraser curse, or the Luke Skywalker of the Fraser curse. You see the potential of the power that lurks within him, and you don't know how to train him or really what to do about it.
No, that's entirely fair. Because I mean, even to this age, you are basically 40 and you don't know what to do with it. So how could you teach a child what to do with it, right?
I figured it out once. Figured it out once, and it led to the back-to-back Grey Cups. And since then, I mean, one of them did cause COVID, and one of them has now caused crushing disappointment in like every Grey Cup they've played in. So yeah, maybe it's a monkey's paw situation, the Fraser curse.
Mm-hmm.
See, now I got to dig into this. Just like I've been digging into, once again, Joel, the list of people who have received the keys to the city.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, Burlington, Ontario, with no linked Wikipedia article, in January 2019, Mike, in quotations, Beard Guy Taylor.
Are we supposed to know who that is?
I don't know who that is.
I don't know who that is. Is this the thing we're supposed to know? Because I am like very known to be very culturally unaware about a lot of things. So I thought maybe this was a thing I was supposed to know.
Oh no.
Okay.
This is showing how obscure it is. That the first person to receive the key to the city of Burlington does not have his own Wikipedia page and is known affectionately as Beard Guy. Like, and no explanation. Like Burlington is on crack. Okay. Burlington, we've got Mike Beard Guy Taylor, a Japanese city, a whole bunch of people we don't know, and then Spoons.
Spoons.
The band.
Oh. I thought like the actual utensil.
I mean, Wikipedia could be getting it wrong.
Yeah, I mean, it's. We grew up in an era where it was not a reliable source of information, so they said, right? So
So we all thought we should all ask everybody on Facebook for the reliable sources of information.
Absolutely. Or in the YouTube comments. That's where they also live. Not on ours, but like people who actually have YouTube views.
Oh yeah. I mean, most of those are just Temu spam now.
Yeah.
Or porn bots.
Yeah. That's true.
One of the two.
That's true. I for once I have nothing out of that. So we will get into the Rider game. Their beatdown of the Montreal Alouettes.
I got it for you. I got it for you. To some people, the Rider game might have been a little bit like watching their favorite Korn film.
Oof.
I mean, come on. It was pretty good. I know it's a woof, gets a woof from you, but you know.
I just found it weird that you were willing to say porn bots, but not porn in the sense of video.
I listen, I don't know where the line for YouTube censorship is these days anymore.
So yeah, we will get into that and a whole bunch more, but as usual, John, for the Palabones Brewing Company, what is in the glass this week?
A whole bunch of vodka.
I thought you were supposed to be happier with your new job.
I am. I'm significantly happier with my new job. But this was, I have no other way to describe it, that like I didn't have quite enough for a full drink of the coconut lime vodka. Mm-hmm. Or of regular vodka.
Okay.
So I literally just threw them together over ice. So you,
in a sense, kind of watered down the coconut lime vodka?
With more vodka.
Yeah. You dulled the flavor, at least, I guess.
I did, which is weird because the flavor is really good. But it was like I didn't have quite enough to make a full drink. So I mixed it all together. So I can attest that if you find the flavor too overwhelming in the coconut lime vodka, throw more vodka in it. It's good. And
when in doubt, just add more vodka. That's John Fraser's motto for life.
Or gin. It depends on what's in the cupboard.
Yeah.
Apparently, I do have a surprise from our friend Bryce at Lucky Bastard, though. So that is waiting for me tomorrow.
Cool. Yeah. Last month for our sponsorship agreement, I just said dealer's choice. Because I still had vodka and gin in the cupboard. I'm like, well, I don't need more. He gave me the vanilla.
It stays in the cupboard?
Yeah.
I thought it went bad after 30 days. You had to drink it quick.
No, it doesn't do that. I did get a bottle of he gave me the vanilla espresso vodka.
Oh, so good.
Which is solid. I always forget how coffee forward it really is. Like it's super coffee, which always throws me off first. I'm like, oh yeah, but yeah, you mix it with some root beer, a splash of your favorite milk beverage, and it's just like, ooh, yeah. It sings.
It's like
it's delicious.
It is an elevated paralyzer.
It is. It for sure is. Yeah. I think I picked up on that one because when they did more samplings, was one of the go-to samplings they would do.
Interesting.
So yeah, just delicious. But I also have my actual drink in front of me, though not that is one of my favorites from the Palabones Brewing Company, the Space Cadet IPA, which I know there's been some stock issues with that release recently. There may be some coming up again soon, but it is super fresh right now, so I would recommend it if IPAs and the more old school IPA is your thing, which I know it is for you, John, too. So
yes, so now I'm clearly motivated to go get more beer.
And, like you really need a lot of motivation for that.
Oh no, I have to. That's actually the funny thing is I almost always remember to stop by the liquor store on my way home to podcast, but like my brain is complete mush tonight because being almost 40 and staying up till 12:30 in the morning at a concert, even though I behaved myself, I was a good boy. I mean, I got a little high, but I was mostly a good boy. And went to Danko Jones, but my goodness, that 7 a.m. alarm hit hard.
Yeah, I bet it would.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised I have a voice because it was funny. It was like one of those things that's like muscle memory. Mm-hmm. That heading into the show, I'm like, oh yeah, I know like 3 or 4 Danko Jones songs. Nah, I knew like 7 or 8, and it was just like it was like core memories unlocked. I could sing them word for word. Great time. Danko's great.
The Riders had a great time on Saturday afternoon as they laid a beatdown on the Montreal Alouettes.
Did they ever?
To put it bluntly, it's not hyperbolic, I think, to say that was their best performance of the year. Frankly, maybe their best performance of the Corey Mace era. And
most consistent for sure.
And maybe one of the best and most consistent we've seen in a number of years. And it felt that way from the start. I think it was...
Oh, yeah.
Like, there was... like in the Edmonton game, like we joked around about how are they going to almost blow this? And we've talked about that in other games too. And throughout that Montreal game, I never got the sense that this was going to get away from them, which is a very weird feeling to have around this club, especially the last, year and a half at this point, where they have tended to do that quite often. And I mean, I guess that's part of what happens when they keep their opponent from getting to their own 46-yard line the entire game.
It's just absurd. And again, they started off with a basically a 7-minute drive.
Yeah.
Like, just...
Well, and not to toot my own horn too much, because for once I was actually right on CBC when they had me on the morning edition to talk about the game.
There's nothing more satisfying than finding the perfect green paint for your living room. Except maybe popping open that can of Valspar Ultra and rolling that first smooth stroke on the wall. And there's nothing more satisfying than admiring your freshly painted wall.
Ooh.
Except maybe peeling off the painter's tape to see those crisp edges. But the most satisfying part of all? Valspar Ultra's price tag, starting at $29.98 a gallon. Affordable, durable, available at Lowe's. Price varies by Shein.
To me, I felt going into that game, and I talked about this then, was that the Rider defense should be able to handle what the Montreal Alouettes offense is doing right now.
Yes,
with McLeod,
they are
Bethel,
not the same without Davis Allen.
No, with McLeod, Bethel, Thompson being more washed than anything in a dishwasher. It's just, like they gotta move on from that. But anyway, they should be able to handle. Now, I didn't expect them to not score a touchdown all game. No question about that. So to me, the game came down to who would win the battle between the Rider offense and the Alouettes defense. And very clearly, the Riders obviously won the battle on their defense versus the Alouettes offense, which I think we all generally expected. Even if they kind of played their more standard, typical game, they still probably would have won that battle considering the circumstances. But I did not see the Rider offense having their way with Noel Thorpe's defense to that degree. And I know there were some injuries there and all that's to be taken to some consideration, no question about that.
I mean, they lost a reserve defensive lineman, Joel, when they dressed 6. That's the most important thing, clearly.
They lost to Qua as well. Like that was a big loss early in that game. And there's some guys before the game, so they were missing some guys. They were down in the secondary. Like there was certainly issues there, but they came out and it was like 14-0 before you knew it, and it was like, oh, okay, this is different. This is very assertive, and this is the kind of performance that we don't necessarily need to see to this degree the rest of the year, but something along those lines is what it has to look like. Because, I mean, realistically, the offense only had to score 7 points in that game to win. So, in a way, I think knowing how well the defense played in that game took a lot of pressure off Trevor Harris and the offense, knowing that they could... they could try some things. They could push the ball a little bit. They can do this. They can do that to try and score those extra points versus, in a tight game, maybe being a little tighter because, they knew that the other way, the ball wasn't coming back the other way for more than 3 points.
No, certainly. Well, and part of it too. Oh, sorry.
Did you eat too much before this, sir?
No, well, I did have too much McDonald's before this. Don't worry. It's not the case of the sneezes. It's allergies or something is getting me today. But this all comes back to kind of what we discussed last week with Trevor Harris and his... What the hell? Oh, that was weird. Okay. This goes back to what we discussed about Trevor Harris calling out the team. Yeah. Right? Because you've seen this be an issue for this club basically since Corey Mace took over and in the days and years before that, right? Where they let everybody hang around. They blow games, they almost blow games, and they never really show off, their full capabilities. They never play a full 60 to sound cliche, but it's just something this club hasn't done. So I wonder how much of that on both sides of the ball, having a fairly quiet lead by example guy like Trevor Harris come out and call everybody out. I wonder how much that had to do with this. Like, it seemed like to me, and Montreal is always a tough place to play. Like, it always seems like every team
for a variety of reasons, yeah.
Right. It almost seems like consistently, if you go west to east, you're going to run into some trouble in Montreal. Just it's a time-honored tradition.
Yep.
West teams don't play well there, right? So you come out and you absolutely punch them in the teeth. And then on top of that, it was totally set up for, and this is one of the few things that Glenn Suter got right on the broadcast that night, was he flat out said that lightning delay at half, the extended halftime.
Oh, that was the only moment where I thought, what is going to happen after this? Is this going to get Montreal off the mat?
Well, and that's exactly it. And Suter said, and it just didn't. Like, so whatever changed in that room, like you and I were talking about, maybe there's a guy in that room that has to step up and call the team out and call the guys out and take that loud leadership position, because, again, there's something to be said about Corey Mace's business-like approach.
Yep.
It works, but occasionally you need somebody to kick you in the ass, and that's exactly what Trevor Harris seemed to do on this night.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that if you look at the performance afterwards, and there's a lot of reasons why the Riders beat Montreal that soundly, but I don't think it's wrong to suggest that the way Trevor Harris spoke after that game against the Edmonton Elks played a role in it. Now, not specifically like a week later that those words are still ringing, but it was the moment. It was what that meant. It was a player taking the leadership of this team seriously.
After a win.
After
right?
a win.
Where a lot of guys would just know, hey, we got the W, we got the 2 points, we got whatever, every cliche you want to throw at it.
Yep.
But for him to step up there and call out his team and call it himself, really, like, you know.
No, like he included himself in it, no question about it.
Right. This isn't like certain coaches throwing their starting quarterbacks under the bus because of one bad throw. This is just flat out a guy being, hey, we won, but we're not good enough. And I think those words do resonate. I think they resonate on both sides of the ball, right? Like the defense, defenses are always going to be loud and charged up and things like that. But I remember texting you with how fresh they looked because the offense was able to get them off the field or keep them off the field, pardon me. Right.
Yep.
Like it was ridiculous the speed at which they were closing with. And it's wild how much, and we're going to see if this is, the quote unquote TSN turning point of the season moving forward, because it just seemed like that was a different team on the field against Montreal. Yeah. Like I've never seen that.
Even in their sort of more impressive wins this season, it was nothing like that. So
no, they all went to sleep for a quarter in every one of their wins.
So maybe I think it's safe to say that, I think Trevor Harris's words lit a fire under them a bit. And maybe some other guys spoke up too. Like, we don't know, obviously, but I think there's a scenario where, especially in a situation like that, I think it was more important that it be player-led than coach-led as well.
Yes,
I think it was important for a player, especially a key player on the team, to come out and say, hey, yeah, we got the win, but that wasn't good enough. If we want to achieve our ultimate goal of winning a Grey Cup championship, we have to be better. We cannot let this happen again. And they came out against, injuries or not, one of the better teams in this league and laid a beating on them. And I think
the number one defensive team in the CFL heading into this week.
Yeah, so I think that clearly resonated with them, and we will see if they can keep that attitude going forward, because sometimes, after a big win like that, it is easy to have a bit of a letdown. So the next game will also be a pretty good test for this team as well, which is going to be a trend for the next little bit, to say the least. Not to say that their schedule has been easy by any stretch of the imagination, because it's professional football and every game is hard. But over the next number of weeks, so the Riders are on their bye this week. They welcome Hamilton on Saturday the 16th for the 1 o'clock kickoff, which I love. The week after that, they go to Calgary. Then it's the back-to-back with Winnipeg, which we all know what that's about. Then it's Montreal before they finally get their third and final bye before they face Edmonton and Ottawa, which, again, not necessarily to be easy games, but certainly easier than what they are staring at right now.
Oh, boy.
And I will say this, it is good that they are 7-1 heading into the stretch.
You've got a little... We don't want the 18-wheeler to go off the cliff, but the 18-wheeler can at least lean, the cab can go over the cliff.
Yeah, you can hit a rest stop here if you need to. There's no need to make any dumb decisions. There's no need to, like, if there's a key injury, to rush it in for the stretch or anything like that, just because this is that hard. Like, realistically, they're one win away from clinching a playoff spot. Maybe not mathematically, but there aren't a lot of 8 and 10 teams in the CFL that don't make the playoffs. So,
well, and this year's kind of one of those weird ones that you have basically Saskatchewan, Hamilton, and everybody else just beating the piss out of each other.
Yeah.
So eight should get you there.
Yeah, so I think 8 gets you in. So they're basically there. They're probably, they're not far off. If things go well in this stretch, I mean, they'll easily clinch a home playoff game probably within the stretch too if they do reasonably well here. So this isn't necessarily backs against the wall tough stretch, but this will be a tough stretch where we'll learn a lot about this team, because despite the beatdown in Montreal, I still kind of have my questions about how good they really are. I think they're good. Are they capital G good? We will probably find out. And that's not to say they can't win a Grey Cup or anything like that. I think it speaks more to the state of the league this year, where I don't really think anyone's necessarily that elite, and there's probably a handful of teams that you could realistically convince me could win a Grey Cup this year.
I agree.
And so the Riders are easily right now the favorites to finish first in the West, but that's just how circumstances led them to this point. I don't know if they're really a 7-1 team, but hey, they are, and they deserve credit for that. If they keep rolling through the stretch, like if they 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If the next 5 games, if they go, say, 4-1 in that stretch, we'll say the L is the Banjo Bowl in Winnipeg,
which usually is the
then I'll be like, you know what? Yeah, this team is everything we thought they were at the start of the season. There's only a few games left in the season. They've only lost twice. You've probably got a home playoff game basically wrapped up at that point. Then no question, they are a very good football team. But I think realistically, you can even go 2-3 through this and probably be fine. There'll definitely be some question marks that'll come up if you can't take down the big dogs again. I think especially that Winnipeg stretch will be very important, not necessarily for the standings, because that'll still have room to shake out, but I think just for the mental makeup of this team and this organization and this fan base, because that's the team that's been in the way the last number of years.
Yes.
If they go in and they get swept by Winnipeg again, it doesn't matter what their record is otherwise. They can go 3-2 the stretch. They could clinch. They could finish first place in the West, host the Western Final. But if they lost both those games to Winnipeg, I think there's going to be a lot of questions about this team.
Well, and this stretch coming up are probably looking at the standings. You could convince me that any one of the 5 teams, obviously the 4 teams are playing in Saskatchewan, could be a Grey Cup champion.
Yeah, no question.
Depending on health, of course, right?
Yep.
So now you're basically going through everybody that we think has a chance as long as they're healthy. Obviously, Montreal without Davis Alexander, some key members on D. Hamilton if Bo Levi goes down. I mean, you've always got the what ifs, but to me, this is the stretch that you're playing the guys that you're going to play in the postseason, right? So you want to send that message. I think, I'll plan the parade jokes, outside. You can start planning the parade if you go 4-1 or 5-0 in this stretch.
No.
Like to me, that would make you capital G good. A 3-2, I think, would meet expectations. 2-3, we're going, what the hell's happening?
2 and 3 will depend a lot on the games themselves.
Right.
Like if they're competitive in every game and every game is well played and it's just things happened. Okay, they're fine. They'll be
professional football.
They'll be fine. They'll get through it. We'll see how they rebound from there, sort of situation. Anything less than that is obviously, these guys aren't actually that good. But
I mean, you're getting Hamilton, who I think might be the best of the bunch.
They're definitely the most dangerous team of the bunch. I don't think there's any question about that. Because I mean, like you sneeze and Bo Levi Mitchell is suddenly thrown for 400 yards and 3 touchdowns against you, and you're like,
and he was benched at one point last year, which I still find absolutely hilarious. But so you're getting a heavyweight tilt against Hamilton. They've also got an extended week of rest as they play Thursday Night Football before. So I like that. Both teams coming in should have some rest. Then you go to Calgary, which has always been troublesome, right? So to me, you almost have to go 2-0 in those 2 games. like, you have no excuses, right? Like, you've got no excuses. You should be the better team than both of those clubs. And if you want to win the Grey Cup, you have to be the better team than both of those clubs, because we know Labor Day Banjo Bowl is always a shit show. Yeah. It is that is when the weird of the weird comes out, because they don't put a trophy on the line, so Zach still plays good.
Yeah.
Right? Like just bring out something with a cup in it and be like, hey, it's the Labor Day Cup, and there's your problem solved. You'll win Labor Day until Zach retires. So,
I mean, historically, they haven't really had an issue winning Labor Day, so.
No, 100%. But to me, I want to see them. If you want to be considered the contenders, you got to go 2-0 coming out of your bye week. You know, teams historically have been really good out of a bye week, so you've got a chance to do that against Hamilton. The 1 p.m. start, nice early start. It's going to be a great day at Mosaic, you know, and then you have to go in and beat Calgary and essentially say this is our division, right? So I'm not saying if, like, a 1-1 there is fine. An 0-2 is hit the panic button, the 18-wheeler's going off the cliff again, and somebody's cut the brakes.
I don't know if I'd go quite that far, but it certainly wouldn't be ideal. And I think this Ryder Hamilton game on the 16th has potential to be an all-time classic. The way both offenses are rolling. The game in Calgary is going to be interesting. A lot will depend on sort of the status of Vernon Adams Jr. at that point, no question.
Yes.
But yeah, like they already lost. They got punched in the mouth by the Calgary Stampeders the last time they were here, and that's a game where you would hope that would be sitting in the back of their minds if you want to talk about like extracurricular motivation.
Right.
That needs to be a game that's in the back of their mind, and they need to go into Calgary and basically do the same thing back. So then they're saying, hey, we're still in this fight. So if we see you in November, this could still go either way.
Well, and if you go out and beat Calgary and even split with Winnipeg, you're probably like, you've got the inside track for the division title.
Yeah, at that point, yeah, like they're already like 6 points up on Winnipeg or something. So I mean, yeah, if you somehow sweep Winnipeg, that's basically done, because you add, at least depending where Calgary finishes, is you basically left a 2-horse race, maybe. Right. For the West Division at that point, because Winnipeg would be so far behind and lost the season series that it would be difficult. I wouldn't anticipate it happening, but it could in theory. I mean, the Bombers, I'm not ready.
If they play like they did in Montreal, if they play a full 60, yeah. And that's the thing that blows me away is like,
we know the potential is there for this team to be the truly elite team in the league this year. There's no question it's there.
Yes.
They just haven't realized it for the most part this year.
Right. Or last year, the year before that.
Well, I mean, last year, the expectations were different because it was the first year of Corey Mace. We didn't really know.
Right.
Kind of thought it'd be a slow start, but it ended up being a fast start and a slow middle, so whatever. But,
right. So,
yeah, I think, but the Winnipeg Blue Bombers themselves are a very interesting case right now where I think for them, standings-wise, those two games may be their season. Like, it could be extremely vital for them in those two games because they're kind of teetering. They're kind of teetering. I'm at this point not willing to write them off after the shitty start they had last year and pulled themselves all the way back to the Grey Cup. I'm not ever willing to write off the Winnipeg Blue Bombers until it is done. But something unlike last year, where like if you look back in retrospect, like the way they lost a lot of their games early was weird, and they were still generally playing okay. Something just feels weird this year in Winnipeg, and I can't quite put my finger on it. It feels like if something were to go horribly wrong for them in those two games, that really could derail their season. So I think from a rider perspective, then you not only have the chance to basically wrap up the division, or at least make it, a 2-horse race, you also have a really good opportunity to put the Giants of the West to bed.
Yeah, I mean, as a guy that watches every down of Bomber football, the weirdness with Zach has been weird. Mm-hmm. Clearly the guy was concussed, then to bring him back, and then, watching and listening to the broadcast when they got dummied by Toronto, they were like struggling to try to find something where Zach clearly got hurt, and then he sat against Toronto again, and Strevler goes in, and meanwhile, you've got Jason Hogan, the Bombers OC, going out there and just pooping all over Chris Strevler for admittedly a bad interception. Like, that was admittedly, you are literally, you are at the 14-yard line. You're up 6. Sergio does what Sergio does. You're walking out of there with a win, right? So to lob up an interception, it was the play, it was the package they liked and everything. It just wasn't a good throw. But, like, when have you ever seen an OC go out and rip his quarterback for doing that? I can't think of the last time.
Nothing jumps
Jason
to
Moss,
mind.
maybe? Like, it seems like this is something that Jason Moss would have done in his younger years, but...
Yeah, I don't know. Nothing comes to mind, and it's certainly an interesting situation, to say the least. I'm sure those conversations happen behind closed doors all the time, but I think publicly you should be supporting your guys no matter what. But I've seen it. I've sat in and watched film with coaches that have then turned around. I've sat in, like, with the Hilltops when I did play-by-play with them. I sat in and watched film and watched the quarterback get absolutely lambasted over a throw he made, and then have the OC do an interview with a competing radio station and go, he's our guy. Yeah. Well, it's the famous story of, like, the Mike Gundy, don't come after the kid, come after me, I'm 40.
Exactly. I'm a man. I'm 40.
Yeah. Apparently behind the scenes, he was basically roasting the kid for what the reporter was asking about. But then publicly, he backed his player.
Which is what you're supposed to do as a coach.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just, you're right. I feel like we're teetering on the end of an era in Winnipeg, and it's just one blow from the Riders could be all it takes. So, Rider fans, I will now take bribes to get Connor to pick the Bombers in the Labor Day Classic.
If you're a podcast host, listen up, this one's for you. My name is Allie Jackson. I'm the host of Finding Mr. Height, a dating and relationship podcast that I've been doing for 4 years now, sharing my positive and practical approach to dating that's built on my own life experience. And I wanted to share another experience that I've had, my secret behind monetizing my show. It's called Red Circle, and I was just telling my colleague about how much I love their platform. With Red Circle, not only am I getting a seamless hosting experience, but I also love the support I receive in ad sales. It's not just typical ad sales either. It's targeted opportunities based on my show and my life. And the platform is super simple. You just set your preferences, and Red Circle matches you with sponsors that align with your show. You can vet every opportunity, and their platform gives you great analytics. More recently, too, my Red Circle team has brought me opportunities outside of my podcast on social media to really augment the podcast partnerships, bring them full circle. I just can't recommend them enough. If you want to give it a try, go to redcircle.com to get your free trial. That's redcircle.com for a free trial.